interestingly, I now have as an ally Mervyn King. That's been a surprise to me, I can tell you. A bit worrying, actually. There's two people, Adair Turner and Mervyn King, and they're both pro-capitalist people, as I'm not myself. But they're both, I think, worried about the extraordinarily unstable and destructive nature of capitalism. They think the system itself is under threat, and they're both trying to push it into some kind of benign adaptation rather than see a wholly different system. This is Mervyn King addressing the world's bankers at the Buttonwood Gathering, the top kind of conference of bankers last year. And this is what he said of all the many ways of organising banking. The worst is the one we have today. And he didn't mean that they're a bit rude to you or they sell you products you don't need. He meant that the way we enable them to make our money is destructive. He had a go at the fractional reserve banking system himself, the governor of the Bank of England. And also he identified clearly that the problem with the financial crisis is the result of, it's a systemic problem. It's not, you know, this phrase that we hear now, whatever it is, the problem we've been bequeathed by Labour. It's nothing to do with that. It's a problem, it's a systemic problem. And here's the governor of the Bank of England who's responsible for our money system telling us that. Okay, so, oh dear, this is the second half where I tell you what we've got to do about it, and I've got 5 minutes left. Anyway, I think Jay's going to talk a bit about local currency, so that will also help us with this. So this is what we're trying, this is what I think money should be doing. We want to have consumption more in the local economy. So we want to try and find a way that instead of money being on the side of kind of global economics, it's more on the side of local economics and flourishing local economies. We also want it to encourage core activity, which means not those kind of pointless things that just happen to be an easy way to make profit, but the activities that we value, like caring. At the moment, we can't afford to pay to care for people because greater profits can be made in different kinds of sectors. So we need to change that when we're designing our money. We need a system of money that doesn't have that built-in tendency to create inequality that I was talking about. And then we come to some that I think are a bit more questionable, you know, because if you can print money and you can use that extra money to try and stimulate economic activity, as I've shown with the relationship between money and growth. To what extent do we want to do that? You know, when from a green economics point of view, we think growth is inherently problematic. Would it be better if we, what we can do, I think, with the local currency is to try to shift that consumption. We can try to substitute global consumption for local consumption, but we need to decide how much we want money to actually increase production and consumption locally. Here's something we had to think about when we were designing our currency in Stroud. This guy's Silvio Gazelle, and a lot of people say that Keynes actually nicked some of his best ideas from Gazelle, but he wasn't a very good self-publicist. Anyway, he had this interesting thought about money, which is to say that what interest does is it encourages people to hold on to money. It rewards people for holding on to money, actually, interest. And so instead of that, he said what we need to do is have a negative interest rate. If we want to speed up the circulation of money, make the money go around more quickly, so we're all exchanging more and we've got a more flourishing economy, the way to do that is to actually fine people for holding on to their money. And so he invented a system of money where it actually reduces in value through time. And we have that with our Stroud pound. So every 6 months it's lost 3% of its value, and you have to pay to have a stamp to put that value back. We based our design on this excellent local currency called the Chiemgauer, which was set up in southern Germany, and they similarly charge this 5% fee if you hold on to that money. So every 3 months, I think, you have to pay 5% holding it. So again, you're encouraged to spend your local money faster than your national money. And like your own Oliver, it's accepted by lots of shops. It's yeah, you can see the kind of, this is just up to 2008, you can see the extraordinary increase in the spending of this money. It's been hugely successful. I think there's 850,000 euros worth of local currency circulating in Germany now. And in the case of the Chiemgauer, I think it's got about 40 or 50% of that. And they've made so much money from it, because they do now have money sitting in the bank, because they exchange Chiemgauers for euros. So they have now like €500,000. Yeah, €500,000 sitting in the bank, which they then lend out to local businesses. So it's an extraordinarily inspiring example of what can be achieved with the local currency. This is how the Stroud pound works. It's just like the Chiemgauer, but much smaller, I'm afraid to say. But basically the exchange is all important. It's this you want to build up. You want to get your money circulating through the local businesses. That's what really builds up the strength and health of your local economy. And in our case, we also have a system where charities are involved. So when people buy our money, 3% of the face value of what they buy goes to a local charity. So that again encourages a sort of community spirit. It tends to bring all the people in the local economy together, whereas the money system we have now tends to sort of pit people against each other in a sort of competitive way. We don't want them to do this, you know, we don't want them to bring them back, we want to keep them circulating. That's the point of local currency. Okay, probably haven't got time to do that. But anyway, feel free to... Do you want me to go through this? Yeah, okay, how it works. It basically works the same way as the Chiemgauer, and probably as the Oliver as well, I'm not sure, but Jane will tell us about that. So traders and businesses, we ask them to join up. We run it as a co-op, actually, because then we like people to be involved in decisions about how the currency goes. So £10 as a trader, £5 as an individual. If the traders bring us the money back, we take 3% off the value of what they brought back to us, and that 3% balances the 3% we gave to charities when that money was bought. Yeah, and they have a limited life. They're going to run out in September this year, and we're still thinking about what we're going to do about that. And we launched in September 2009 for an initial period of 2 years. We exchanged £10,000 in the first year. These figures are at the end of the first year, and about half of them have come back. So actually, when you probably found this with the Oliver as well, when you launch a currency, there are a whole load of people all around the world who just collect money. So if you launch money, they will buy it, and effectively it's like donating money to you. There's a guy called Peter Stroud who lives in Hampstead. He loves, you know, having Bank of Stroud money, so he buys bottles of ours and sticks it on the fridge or things like that. But anyway, so even in that sense, you can make quite a lot of money from making money. It's like being a bank. And anyway, in our first year, just about £300 has been allocated to local charities and projects and so on. Okay. Oh yeah, I just wanted to quickly say that although I've talked about local currency, I know you've got a local currency here, I want to emphasise again how important it is to get a grip on the national money system and indeed the global money system as well. So as I said, the most important thing is to create money as credit, not as debt. The Tobin Tax you've probably heard about, or some people call it the Robin Hood tax, but that's not really a very good name for it. But anyway, so when those... I mean, I think we should stop those crazy financial transactions myself, but, you know, even if we don't want to do that, let's at least get some of the value of them back into social projects in this country, and particularly in the poorer world. That's what the Tobin Tax is trying to do. A very small rate of tax on a huge amount of movement of money. So some of that goes to socially good causes. And as I've already implied, I think the intention of monetary policy should be to balance the necessary economic activity with the amount of money out there, rather than just allowing money to have this power to put this pressure for growth, even if the stuff that is being done when that growth happens is not of any social or ecological value. And as I've already said, I just want to stress again, I think we need somebody to creating money who isn't private profit-making banks, and at the moment we have basically privatised our money creation system, and you know the greatest priority is to get that back into public hands. We can argue about whether that's the state, whether that's local government, whether it's community, but we need to you know stop it being the banks basically. Have I finished? Yes, just my advertising slide. Hurrah! That's all. So question time.